Greetings, opera lovers! Live from Pittsburgh, it's Rona. This week, the new season of the Metropolitan Opera began. As you may know, 4,000 people, more or less, can attend each opera. This week there were 3 performances. That means 12,000 people heard the operas live. Many of us heard the opening night either through Sirius or the Met's live stream. On Wednesday night, there was Turandot, and on Friday, there was Il Trovatore, both on Sirius. So if you are one of the thousands or perhaps millions of people who wish they could have heard one or all of those operas and could not, maybe you'd like to know what it was like vocally. I was not in the house. I was at home listening to the operas on the computer, which I am recording this little talk. The opening night was Otello, one of the true masterpieces in all of operatic literature. Wednesday, an old and very favorite production of Turandot, and Friday night was Il Trovatore by Verdi. I would like to just make a few comments about each of them and mainly try to stick on the positive side because they were mainly positives. So last night, overall, was to me the most satisfying of all 3 of the operas. The singing was spectacular. Anna Netrebko, who was Leonora, was just in magnificent voice. What can be said about her that hasn't already been said? Well, she hasn't done this opera yet in the States, but she has done it in Europe, and I've heard her do it before. Last season, she did Lady Macbeth, and she was excellent, but I think this role suits her better. One of the most amazing things about Miss Netrebko is that she sings with what I would call emotional abandon, but vocal security. She is so in charge of that voice. And as many of you know who know the opera and her 2 big arias, in her second aria, she has to float very high notes. She does, and they were beautiful. Her phrasing was gorgeous. It was just a wonderful performance. But the evening really belonged to the baritone Dmitri Varsovsky, who was coming back to the Met after publicly announcing that he had a brain tumor and is being treated by chemotherapy. I was a little fearful about how he might sound. Last year, he also did, I can't remember, he did another opera, and I wasn't so crazy about the way his voice sounded, so I just wasn't so sure I was going to love it. I thought he sounded actually better this year than last year. Also in the cast was the most amazing Dolores Zajic playing Azucena. Actually, I heard 3 of these principals sing this opera in their opening season of this production, but Sandra Radvanovsky was Leonora. And so I know the production. I've seen it at least twice, maybe 3 times. I like this production. It sometimes doesn't get very good press. The conducting was hailed, but I thought that there were a few times that the ensembles weren't always together. The tenor was a little bit disappointing, but not terrible. An overall comment is that in the opening week of the Met, the tenors fared the poorest. So going backwards, on Wednesday evening was Turandot. I was very much looking forward to this because Christine Goerke is one of my very favorite sopranos on the stage today. I think she has everything that a soprano needs to sing the kind of roles that most sopranos dream of singing but can't. And she filled at least my computer, with strong and beautiful singing. It's not an easy role, um, but I thought she was wonderful. I also thought that the other soprano, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, Ibla Gersmova, had a beautiful voice as well. However, I think she had too much of a rich voice for my taste. That's almost like saying the chocolate dessert was too good because it was too chocolatey. But her voice really isn't quite naive enough to pull off a convincing Liu. Marcelo Alvarez, who was Caliph, I thought was wonderful. Uh, he um, he was actually the tenor that I heard in Trovatore in 2009. I think he's sort of an underrated tenor. I think his voice is terrific, and he has just the right sound. He's not ever going to be one of these charismatic singers that everybody flocks to see. But if you have a ticket for a show that he's in, you're getting your money's worth. On opening night was Otello, and this was my biggest disappointment. I just didn't think that the lead tenor, Alexander Antonenko, if that's how you pronounce his name, had a beautiful enough voice to pull off Otello really well. But he did do a good job, and he started off not so well and kept getting better. So that was a very good thing. The Iago was Zelko Lucic, and he too has improved so much over the years. I first heard him in Rigoletto, then in Macbeth, and now this. Upward trajectory. Excellent way to go. But there were two stars of the evening. I don't know which one to talk about more, but I'll start with Sonia Yoncheva, the soprano who played Desdemona. Her composure and emotional content that she gave to this role was truly stunning. I'm in shock that she's 33. Where did she get all that from? It was a stunning performance. Her voice is a tiny bit light for what I am used to hearing as Desdemona, but that is not a complaint. It's just a comment. Sharing the great honors for the evening was the conductor, Yannick Nézet-Séguin. What can you say? The man is just fabulous. He whips that orchestra into shape. He drives it forward, and when he needs to, it's all held back and quiet. I think the highlight of the first week of the opera was Desdemona's Scena, where she sings the Willow Song and then the Ave Maria. It was world-class stunning. Of course, I'm a soprano, so I always look forward to what the sopranos do. All in all, a very good start. Today is Anna Bolena, which I'm going to listen to while I do my errands with my little iPhone and headphones. The season is very promising with such a good start. I could not possibly have made a little video about each of the operas, as this was the week of the High Holy Days, where thankfully I am still employed as a singer somewhere. So I hope you all can join me for another little online brief review. And if you were not able to get to hear any of these operas, perhaps you now have a sense of how they went. Wishing you all a good day, and if you are Jewish, a very good start to the new year. May we all live in peace. Amen.